Living with dementia is often described as a journey, and as the disease progresses, the individual requires increasing amounts of care. 1 in 3 seniors will experience some form of dementia by the end of their life, and 10% of adults over the age of 65 are currently living with Alzheimer's. As our community grows and the baby boomers age, the need for memory services will continue to increase. Meadowlark has long been providing person-centered care to all residents. From early stage therapies to end of life, Meadowlark's memory services provide families with a continuum of professional care that increases as the needs grow. Meadowlark provides a variety of living options on our campus, both in assisted living and long-term care, but also off our campus in our recently acquired Home Plus locations on Scenic Drive and in Riley. Community partnerships such as Memories in the Making with the Alzheimer's Association, our art programs with the Beach Museum, and our art exhibition with the Flint Hills Discovery Center expand our ability to offer residents life-enriching activities. Today, we want to share the personal stories of 3 amazing Manhattan residents who love someone with dementia and how Meadowlark makes a difference in their lives every day.
I'm Teresa Minton, and I've had family at Meadowlark since 2014.
We're Doug and Pat Tippin, and we've been part of Meadowlark since 2017.
I'm Bob Crew. My wife and I have lived here at Meadowlark since 2006.
My mother Joyce was diagnosed with Alzheimer's around 2012, and she was living next door to my sister at the time. And my sister, who is legally blind and diabetic, was trying to care for her the best that she could. When I first brought Mother up here, I had her live with me, and we bought a passport membership so that she could have access to all of the things that were available here at Meadowlark. What was really special was that she's a little bit shy, and because of the way she was treated, she immediately felt at home. That experience alone helped confirm for me that Meadowlark was the kind of place that I wanted my mother to be.
4 or 5 years ago, some things started to develop, and I kept her at home as long as I could. 2 years ago, this coming July, she fell 5 times in a couple of days. And last time we couldn't get her up, so we took her to emergency, and they said she couldn't go home, so that's when we first came to Meadowlark then. We'd heard about what used to be Autumn Hills, and so we went out there and looked and decided we would move to Autumn Hills, which is now part of Meadowlark Hills.
I remember driving around, and Jan was a very good driver. On one occasion she was driving, and she realized she didn't know exactly how to get to where she was going, which was the first signal. Physically, she was fairly able, but as the years proceeded, it was plain that she was losing a lot of her physical ability. We'd actually signed up in Meadowlark's passport program while we were still functioning and traveling, and so when this time came, Jan says, "I think it's time for us to move to Meadowlark." We lived in the cottage until 2015, and we realized that by moving to the main building, we'd have access to care facilities that would be much more conveniently located. And while we were right here in the apartment, I still managed to help Jan a lot with the physical requirements that she experienced. But finally, it just got to be, frankly, wearing me down. I spent quite a little while with one of our leaders here, and we made the arrangements, and Jan entered Stolzer House in 2015. I was able to maintain my existence here in our apartment, and it was so easy for me to be able to be with Jan every day, and I spend 3 or 4 hours with Jan to this very day.
About 6 months after Mother was diagnosed, my brother-in-law, Jim, was diagnosed also with Alzheimer's. I told my sister that she should just send Jim up here. So he moved up here in 2017. And it made sense because Mom and Jim used to play cards together. And so they lived across the hall from one another. In the spring of 2018, she was having some health issues and ultimately was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So we had to move her to a healthcare household. I chose Colin's house. It was difficult for her initially, but it didn't take very long before she pretty much adjusted. And it's funny to say, but I think it's true. I believe towards the end, she thought that those caregivers were her children. And in fact, after Mom passed away, 2 of the caregivers told me that Mom had called them Mom.
When we first moved out to what was in Autumn Hills, she couldn't walk and balance was not real good. So we had therapy come in there twice a week and they got her to walk. And I wanted to continue that. So came up to Meadowlark Hills and she works with Sarah Hilliard one-on-one. And we do that every Wednesday morning. That's really helped. I'm a big believer in therapy. Pat and Sarah have a good time. They kid each other and tease each other, and so it's a good relationship. Also on Wednesdays, she participates in the memory program with Michelle. That's an excellent program. We've got to know a lot of nice people in that group, and she does a lot of fun activities. Michelle has a theme for the day, and so everyone introduces themselves and talks a little bit about what the theme is. Try to bring back some memories.
So I want you to try to describe what you see here, but don't say the actual word. So try to get them to guess what it is.
We've arranged that so when we're here on Wednesdays, she has her hair done every 2 weeks with Shannon. I think Pat enjoys that.
Because Jim is quite young and still very physically fit, I thought of some things that would help him pass the time. So I got him an art pad and some colored pencils. They had an art program where they facilitated people with memory issues. Now Jim is able to participate in official art classes, and the facilitators have all of the supplies right there, and they bring pictures. And just recently they have a showing at the Discovery Center, and they had an opening reception and brought the artist, and they got to see their works, and he was so proud. And that has helped, I think, to give him a sense of purpose. Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
Featured artist right here. You really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you feel happy.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
I'm sure I would manage to be with her consistently and constantly if I lived someplace else, but being right here in the same building just makes such a tremendous difference because I have my routine. Every time I ring that doorbell, it's always within a minute or two of 10 o'clock in the morning. The staff know, that's Bob. And then just slide your knife under there and you get a nice orange section. And I do an orange every morning, and this goes to Janny J. Being right here in the main building is certainly a comfort. If they need some help from Bob, I'm right here and they know they can call me as well.
We've lived in a townhouse for 20 years, and I'm still living there. I still have a workshop there. Pat has made jewelry for several years. She took some classes, and she's always really been interested in jewelry. When she was teaching school, usually she would pick out her jewelry first and then pick out her clothes to go with the jewelry. It's very important for her to have on her jewelry. So whenever we go out, we put her jewelry on, go out every day, at least once, sometimes 2 times a day, just depending what activities are going on and that. So I think it's good to go every day. They have a group that meets twice a month for the caretakers. You know, you think you're the only one that has this situation, and come to find out a lot of people in Manhattan have the same situation. We discuss issues and share ideas and strategies and that, and it's been very, very helpful to get us through all this.
After Mom passed away, I had developed relationships with the other people who lived there and with the caregivers, and they had asked me to come back. So I told the head of the household that I would love to come help. Hey, Dorothy K, you might want to lick right there so it doesn't drip down and get on you. That's Dorothy K's.
I have a picture that I cherish. It's of one of our staff and caregivers, and she's hugging Jan. It's just so symbolic of the kind of interaction that exists between residents and staff.
My husband and I have talked about if we move out of our house, it will be to Meadowlark. The way the caregivers treat the residents is always respectful. If you think about it, these people have worked hard their whole life in whatever capacity to enjoy life and to have a good life, you know, to respect them and to think that they are worth something. I think it's really important. Even when they have dementia, they will say the darndest things, you know, and it's usually beautiful.
Really appreciate the staff and what they do, how friendly they are and how patient they are, and willing to help you in any situation, and I think that's what makes Meadowlark very special.
I get a lot out of it, a lot of joy, and I think that being there just feels like family.